This guy and his father supposedly got hacked for 25 Bitcoin that they had been accumulating since 2012. We need to talk about this story. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I can tell you that the particular gentleman and his father that we're gonna discuss today, I don't think have had such a great weekend. But on the other hand, they have gotten a lot of help from the Bitcoin community. Anyways, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, let's dive into it. This fellow Bitcoiner, this account at R Messit, put out this post on November 10th. Here we go. Fellow plebs, Dad and I found out yesterday that we were hacked and lost all our Bitcoin. 25 BTC hodled since 2012. No words to describe this feeling, particularly gut-wrenching that I'm writing this from our first father-son pilgrimage to El Salvador. Devastating. And indeed, I mean, the reality is that if this is true, right? If this is true, this person has most likely lost more BTC than the majority of people will ever have in a lifetime, truthfully. So this is definitely, as soon as I read this, whether or not, without doing any digging, I was just like, wow, this is just absolutely brutal. And you could see in the initial post, he's not asking for any donations. He's not asking for anything like that. He's essentially trying to figure out what happened, and obviously would like to figure out a way to get his funds back if that's possible. And you can see that. I mean, in my eyes, you could see that he's owning this. No, this isn't some stupid boating accident meme. It's devastatingly real. We'll be taking some time out for a while. Once we've done a post-mortem, we'll write a thread about what happened. But you see, Bitcoiners aren't going to wait for you to write a thread, but like that just didn't happen. And everyone just lots of people started piling in and asking questions. And we're going to start diving into what was found. But before we dive into what was found, let's take a look at the video that Rick uploaded. He had to verify his account on Twitter in order to be able to upload this video. And we're not going to play the whole video, but I am going to put it in the link, in the show notes, so you guys can, if you want to watch the whole entire video, as if you haven't already, but if you haven't, you'll have the link. Anyways, really what's important to me here is the setup, because that is the point of our clip today. That's what we're going to discuss, right? Like essentially proper key management and, stuff that is really universally that you should not do. Anyways, let's dive into it right here. We're just going to show this short excerpt.
My dad was the one who was looking after our seed phrases because he's a developer and he's much more technically minded than me. And, that was the situation. So the setup was essentially that using a password manager called KeePass. So, it's a self-hosted password manager. So it's not like LastPass or anything on a centralized service. And the password to access the password manager that contains the seed phrases, could only be unlocked by a password that only lives in my dad's head or my head, right? So, yeah, fuck. I mean, clearly our devices were compromised and,
Okay, we're just gonna stop right there. Let's discuss this. So he thought, right, that he had done to a certain extent, he thought that keeping his seed phrase, okay, on a self-hosted password manager, right? And what that means essentially is that the password manager software is hosted in his internal network, okay, at home. Okay, so it's his server. It's not an outside location where he is sending data outside of his network. Okay, so I mean, I'm assuming that his father thought that was safe, and that's why they did it. But the reality is this, right? And especially with that much Bitcoin. And again, I know if we look at the timeline, right, 2012, anybody can make the argument, well, that wasn't that much Bitcoin back then. Of course not. But it's interesting, right? Having hodled supposedly since 2012 all the way till now. I mean, interesting. But the point is that for me, the second he said in that video that he was using a password manager to store his keys, I don't care if it's self-hosted. That immediately that's your fail. So, okay. So I myself, way back when I first got into this, okay, I ended up entering my private key online. Okay. And it did not take very long for my entire wallet to get swept. Now, I was very lucky. That was a wallet that just had some shit coins, and I really didn't have that much, so the attacker didn't get away with very much. But yeah, that was a very important lesson for me to learn very early on, based on what Rick has explained. Um, we think that the point of failure was their key password manager. So guys, look, and I think that this especially goes because you'll notice it was his father who was storing the keys. And being a Gen Xer, having worked with boomers in the technical field, many of them, in my experience, trust all the software that they use. They just don't assume that there's going to be problems with it, and they even will put extremely sensitive data, right, online, and thinking that it's protected by this software, and that, because it's a company and they're trusted and this is what they do for a living. No, you can't just, unfortunately, we cannot just assume that. And with something like Bitcoin, right, which is like it is the essence of personal responsibility. Okay. Like you really, you don't want to be typing in that seed phrase on an internet connected device. You just don't. Okay. It's, oh gosh, it's absolutely brutal. But anyways, going back to this, right? His father stored the seed phrase in KeePass. It was self-hosted. They thought it was okay. Obviously, it was not okay, and seemingly they were compromised. Okay, and now starts the tracking of the coins. So Rick reached out to the Bitcoin community, right, the Bitcoin network, and was like, hey, if you guys can help me, let me know what's going on. And indeed, Bitcoiners came forward, and let's dive into what was found. Shout out to Coinables. This is some good stuff here. So here we go. He responds back and goes, hacker is reusing addresses. Was that 0.4 BTC also yours, or did they commingle with other UTXOs? So Rick responded back and said, look, he's not sure about the 0.4. He doesn't think it was theirs. So Coinables responds back and goes, that means the hacker swept their own funds along with yours to the pre-Wasabi mix address. Some other sloppy moves still lingering that could associate to hacker's identity and future spends, but I don't want to tip off the hacker, will DM. And this is where Coinables CC'd another Bitcoiner, Ergo BTC, to see if he can possibly assist. And Ergo responds back and goes, it looks like the funds had gone through a single week Wasabi mix before mostly being deposited to fixed float, an instant swap exchange. Most of the deposits are quite old and unlikely to be recovered. And I think what's important to know here is that even though Rick had reported that the 25 BTC, that he had been hacked, even though he reported it over this weekend, it seems, if I understood correctly, the funds were swept back in September. Okay, so it's been like 2 months. They didn't even realize that all their Bitcoin was gone, which kind of brings up the point of regularly checking your hardware wallets and having a maintenance routine. Anyways, we're gonna get into that at the end, right? We're gonna get into that at the end. Let's just continue on with the story. So here, Coinables comes back again and goes, a portion of the 3.4 BTC theft went unmixed and ended up in an old wallet that was dormant since 2021, only started to be used again 13 days after the hack, and is now spending a lot. Pretty sure this is the hacker's hot wallet. I mean, this is pretty good. Okay, this is some good stuff. They have been adding to their wallet from Binance after the hack. Withdrawal from Binance hot wallet, and boom, now we have a Binance hot wallet. Ask Binance whose account withdrew to, and here it is. And at this point, Rick responds back and goes, holy shit, CZ Finance, CZ Binance, anything you can do to catch these people. Okay, so this is essentially where we are in this story. I am going to provide an update when we get one, but I just wanted to start covering this. First off, immediately, Bitcoiners are skeptical, right? Bitcoiners can't help it. They immediately think when they see something like this. I know that when I saw this, I immediately was like, Really? Because the thing is that we saw, I was talking about this with a fellow Bitcoiner. We actually saw, and I don't remember which account it was, but somebody did this last bull cycle right at the beginning when the bull cycle was starting. Now, you see, that's also another point that you can't ignore. And I'm not saying that this is the case for this particular situation, but Bitcoin bull cycle is about to start, and somebody feels that for whatever reason they haven't accumulated enough Bitcoin. They got totally wrecked shitcoining. They, thought they had some plan that was going to work and it just didn't. And now they're wrecked and broke. And hey, why not see if I can get some BTC from people? But you see, this guy isn't asking for donations. He's not asking. He's not asking for that. He's trying to get his Bitcoin back. And from what I understood, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. From what I understood, he's not accepting donations. So there's people who have actually wanted to donate, and he was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I saw already. So I think that kind of brings legitimacy to this. I did see a comment saying, look, in 2012 there weren't seed phrases, so you're full of shit, which is to a certain extent, which is true. But the thing is that he claims that he had generated this seed. He claims that he had generated this in Electrum, and supposedly at the time, and this is before my time, okay, but supposedly at the time in 2012, Electrum wallet was had a function in it that was generating a seed. Now, again, so far I'm not seeing any red flags with that. Now, I do know that somebody that I know, and I haven't verified this information myself, but they found something about him being a crypto coach. That kind of raises some flags, but I myself have not verified that yet. I myself have not verified that yet. And I'm not saying you should trust me. You definitely shouldn't trust me. We're all just doing research, but this is the information that I'm hearing. Now, okay. So to the there's this other point where I noticed that in the beginning, when this happened, he mentioned on the first day that he's working on a Lightning project, and now he's hell bent on building this thing even more. So tinfoil hat, I was like, okay, maybe this whole entire thing was a ploy to bring attention to this Lightning project. But then I started thinking that that's just a little too nuts, because first of all, somebody just told you that they stored their seed phrase on an online device, right? So, and now they're building Lightning tools. So would you really trust your funds in Lightning, in some type of a Lightning tool, to somebody that made one of the most basic mistakes ever when it comes to storing your seed, right? So I just don't I don't see that. I mean, okay, people could sit there and say, well, Phil, like, look at all the attention he got. Somebody would look at that and go, hey, I'll help you out. I'll invest in your Lightning project. Okay, fair enough. That could be the case. But I have a feeling that the majority of people in this space who have the funds to invest, they're going to look at this and be like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, this guy couldn't even, they couldn't even store their seed properly. Like, what makes you think that they're going to be able to, do what they're doing with Lightning? Anyways, again, it's just opinion. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily true. I'm not saying that this guy cannot build an amazing Lightning product or something like that. And the other piece to this is this, right? A lot of times we get overly confident in when something doesn't go wrong. Okay, so let's say for him, they had stored their seed in KeePass as they did, and then maybe they checked it a couple of years later and saw it was fine, and they're like, yeah, whatever. It's fine. This isn't going to happen. It's an offline server. I'm managing it. My internal network. This thing can't get compromised. There's a certain amount of hubris, right? There's a certain amount of, I think that I can't fail, and I think that this can't go wrong. And that's where we end up. Unfortunately, that is one of the situations we end up making huge mistakes. Now, I do appreciate that this guy owned up to this. I do appreciate that he put the story out as well. yeah, Bitcoiners, unfortunately, like I said before, they're not going to give you very much time. So this whole idea that you think you're going to take a break and then come back and write this long-winded story, no, bud. People are going to press you for the facts, and they want them now, okay? Because the other piece to this is that Bitcoiners, okay, that when you see something like this happen, you may or may not experience vicarious trauma, okay? Because you have a hardware wallet, right? You may have a hardware wallet. You may also, even though you know that this is a bad practice, some of you are secretly keeping your seed in some type of a password manager, just like Rick, okay? But you don't want to admit it. And now he just told you this story, and it's like, holy shit. So vicarious trauma, okay? And I can honestly say that when I read that tweet, I was out, okay? I was out, and I was just, standing in line, and I'm like, all right, start scrolling through Twitter, and I see that tweet, and right away my heart sank. And no, I do not store my seed in a password manager, but it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. Even if I had this thing in a personal vault 60 feet below my house with like lasers and machine guns, I'd be like, maybe I need to check my seed. Maybe I need to check. Maybe I need to go and check to make sure what my wallet says. What my signing device says I have for UTXOs. But anyway, so this, seeing a story like this does affect Bitcoiners. Now, in terms of best practices, I mean, based on, this whole entire clip, obviously, I know it seems like your internal network is this like untouchable thing. Don't have this kind of hubris, okay? Remember this. People don't plan to fail. They fail to plan, okay? So even if you have this device on your internal network and you truly believe your internal network is so safe because you have some crazy Cisco firewall or, Sonic wall or who knows what, don't assume. Do not assume. Never type your seed into an internet connected device. And the other thing is, I mean, not that, I really shouldn't have to explain this, but, you obviously shouldn't have any cameras pointing at that. Like, nobody should be able to see that information except your own eyes, while we can still trust them. Okay, while we can still trust them to not record information and send it back to some central server. But Elon's working on that with Neuralink. Anyways, joking aside, look, this is a horrible situation. I definitely, I do feel bad for this guy. At this point, I do still believe that this is legitimate. I do believe that he did legitimately get hacked, and we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see what happens. Let's see if he can get back any funds. But look, I'm tracking the story, and we're gonna put out an update as soon as we have something else. But look, guys, what we should do, right? Smart people learn from their own mistakes. Geniuses learn from others' mistakes. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's learn from these mistakes. Okay, let's not sit there and think that our Bitcoin is completely untouchable. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation. Put it in the comments. Did you guys happen to see this tweet storm over the weekend? What are your thoughts? Do you guys think? I mean, is this legitimate? Is this some type of like a marketing thing for the Lightning project he's going to come out with or has been working on? Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And guys, I'm going to catch you all tomorrow.